So, good afternoon, students, faculty, and scientists. So, today we are going to listen to our external examiner, Dr. Lakshmi Prasanna from Indian Rice Research Institute, Hyderabad, on the topic multidimensional role of IPR in agriculture. So, I welcome the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, TNAU, other university officers, heads of departments, faculty, and scientists who are online to attend this guest lecture. So I'm proud to say the speaker is alumni of TNAU. She has completed PhD in TNAU and continued as a senior scientist. He is now working as senior scientist in ICR, Indian Institute of Race Research, Hyderabad. So may I request Madam to deliver the guest.
Sir told I did my PhD from this university only in during 2004 2007. So it's coming back to my university. I feel very happy. And in this seminar hall only we used to attend our PhD classes. So now I am again in this seminar hall. And regarding this topic, most of you have one course, I think, in regarding IPR. But during our time, there was no course. So for past 5 6 years, I was doing research on this topic. So I'm going to share some of my thoughts. That's all. This is not a big lecture kind of thing. Sharing of thoughts, and it's bi-directional. Means you are open to you can suggest and we can discuss in that way. I'm taking a small introduction. Intellectual property means creations of human mind or intellect, and intellectual property law, it creates legal relation among persons with respect to abstract objects, which in turn allow right holder to control access to physical reproduction of those objects. And of course there are several theories why this IPR should be there. And a simple we choose it as incentives to innovator, and exclusive right for some period, because he has to recover his expenditure whatever he incurred in research, that he has to recover. For that exclusive monopoly rights we are giving for limited period of time, that is what we are calling IPR rights. And IPR influences structure of society by way of creating power relations, because IPR holder is there, but he may not be having ability to manufacture particular good in a larger scale. Then he may want to give it to somebody else to on license. So licensor, licensee, that kind of power relations will arise in because of this IPR. And another kind of power relation is, even if IPR holder himself manufactures the goods or some suppose seed, there are around 450 or 500 seed companies in India, but only 50 companies they are involved in research and they have their IPR, and they if they are selling their seeds they have monopoly right for limited period of time. Because of that power they may price the seeds in higher compared to other. So that kind of power relations also will be there because of IPR. So, in general, IPR economic apps effects are research topics. Are if you see in literature, we are finding IPR economic growth, and IPR as such encourages innovation. Of course, IPR is not the only way for incentivizing innovation. Research grants are there, prizes are there, but those are specific topic oriented. Means after, and moreover they are post incentives, means after sometimes it will be ex ante, sometimes it will be post, and this is exclusively post kind of thing. Means after invention or innovation happened, then we are providing incentives. And one more thing is IPR competition interface. On the cursory look we may found that these are against each other. Means In IPR, we are giving exclusive monopoly rights, but competition speaks other way. Means more number of manufacturers, innovators should be there. So we may feel by seeing and cursorily look that these are anti-competitive against each other. But in the long run, if you see in dynamic sense, these are complementary to each other. Means IPR will increase the competition because IPR will intensify more number of people, more number of innovators will be there, and more number of products will be coming into a market. In that way, IPR promotes competition. So IPR and competition are complementary in the long term. And IPR international trade, and suppose we take the case of GI, geographic indication, which is one form of IPR. So basmati rice, we know that is exported more. And of course, other commodities may be also there that GI, because of GI, Darjeeling tea, those kind of thing, because of GI, export will be more. And technology transfer, as I said, licensor licensee relations. And once one owner is established for a particular IPR, then he has the right to license it to different people. Even in ICAR, research institutes are developing varieties, but research institutes don't have capacity to produce seed in larger quantities. So what they are giving a license to private companies to multiply the seeds on large scale. So in that way, it is a one way of technology transfer. So when coming to agriculture in specific, there are some more specific economic benefits. Those are sustainable growth. That I say in case of GI. GI is more specifically, I will coming in future slides. But basmati rice means it is produced in specific geographic area only. The same variety you can produce here, but you cannot call it a basmati. If it is grown in particular those 7 states and particular regions only, you call it a basmati, and you can export it as a basmati. If we want for your house purpose, Telangana, those people are taking this basmati rice purpose, but they cannot export as a basmati. That geographic area people know that basmati means that area only it has to grow, and because that area only gives specific quality to that product, so they have to conserve the specific quality of soil, maybe climate, soil, whatever it is, they have to conserve it. And the conservation means sustainable growth, that aspect is coming. And empowerment of farmers. So both in PPVFRA, farmers' rights are ensured. They can register their varieties as breeders, and as consumers also they have some rights in PPVFRA, that is Plant Variety Protection and Farmers' Right Acts. And in case of GI also, groups of farmers. In case of Kerala, Navara rice, those kind of things, groups of farmers they are acquiring IPR and they are having empowered. The farmers are empowered. And inclusive growth means. So when farmers or groups are coming in, that small farmers, marginal farmers, those people are also there, so it is a way of inclusive growth. And biodiversity management also, so more number of varieties developed in a crop means more biodiversity is developed in particular crop. In that way, IPR also incentivizing biodiversity management. So my focus is on three kinds of IPR. Of course, I am not talking about patents, because in agriculture, that too, when we are talking about crop improvement, there are a lot of debate regarding patents in crop improvement, those kind of things. So my specific focus is PPVFRA, trademarks, and GIs. So PPVFRA, as you know, this act was enacted in 2001, and varietal registration started from the year 2009. No, though Act was enacted in 2001, actual registration process started in 2009 only, until 2nd November, 5,566 varieties are registered. So out of these varieties, if you see, the farmers varieties environment and regional growth, balanced regional growth also we can say. And the point of concern is only 17% is new varieties. All others are extent variety. Farmer varieties also is a category of extent variety only. So if you see, new varieties constitute only 17. This is time series data on PPV for a registered varieties. And as I am working on Rice Institute, I calculated for rice also. So if you see within rice also, farmers varieties is the major category, followed by public and private. But the thing is, if you see, the varieties differentiated into OPV and hybrids. In hybrids, private sector is the major player compared to public sector. And another thing is, as we differentiate between new varieties and extant varieties, in new varieties, private sector is the major player compared to public sector. So if you consider seed sector, three levels of market we can consider. Upstream research sector. This PPVFRA is focusing on upstream research sector. So development of varieties. Once a variety is developed, then comes the case of multiplication. Though the seed companies, some seed companies have the capacity for research as well as multiplication. But some companies are involved in only in multiplication. As far as public sector is concerned, as I said, in research institute, they are developing varieties, but they are not multiplying. They are giving on license to companies. So that is midstream licensing market and downstream seed market, actual seed market. So because of IPR, power relations can be there, that I told. So just in case of rice, we are monitoring what is the concentration in private sector PPVFRA, PPV certification. So I started this in 2014. So if you see in that year, number of companies having PPVFR certificates were 18 and the number of varieties were 70 and C4 ratio was 56. But in 2021, it reduced to 51. So I see different for different categories of varieties, all varieties, new varieties, extent hybrids, new hybrids and extent hybrids. So in all cases, C4 concentration ratio is almost decreasing. Then, according to EPO 1991 convention, a variety shall be deemed to EDV, essentially derived variety, when three conditions are cumulatively filled. The conditions are: EDV is predominantly derived from initial variety, and EDV is clearly distinguishable from the initial variety, and except for difference which results from the act of derivation, the EDV conforms to initial variety in the expression of essential characteristics that result from the genotype or combination of genotype of the initial variety. Of course, this is statistics. Totally, so far, 152 EDV applications were received, and out of which 14 are registered. And this is crop-wise number of EDV application. If you see, tetraploid cotton is the maximum 141 applications, and so far only 14 registered. And on 30th March 2022, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India issued notification exempting genome-edited products of SDN1 and SDN2 from the provision of biosafety regulation in India. So this provision may increase probability of development of EDVs in future. So can a genome-edited variety get IV status, initial variety status? Actually, what is the rationale for this EDV? EDV concept was introduced in PVR regime for preserving incentives for initial variety developer and allow follow-on varietal development in changing techno-socio-economic conditions. Means initially, if for developing a variety, it used to take 10 years, 15 years. But now, because of this technology development, that varietal development period is reduced. So, if an initial variety is developed and follower do some marginal changes in that variety, and he can claim it as a new variety, and he can compete with the initial variety in the field, then the initial variety holder will lose incentives. So, to preserve his incentives for initial variety holder also, he must have some claim over the market output, marketing sales of the follower developer. So for that rationale, this EDV concept was introduced. However, complexity of subject matter, that is plant genetic resource, and lack of consensus on attributes to be considered in arriving at essential derivation. How we define this essential derivation is posing challenge, and lot of debate is going on this. And emerging DSIism means digital sequencing information. Initially, earlier it was there that if you want to develop a variety, you must have access to some biological material. But nowadays, this digital information is there. Using that information and using synthetic biology kind of techniques, you can develop a variety even without having access to a particular plant. So in that case, how we are going to define EDV and how we are going to preserve incentives for initial variety or follow variety. So a lot of debate is going on this topic. And some more specific provisions in Indian PPVFRA is there. In PPVFRA, we have provision for registration of extant varieties. It is unique. But in other countries, if you see, it is only registration for new variety. But in our case, you have the registration provision for extant varieties, of course, for limited period. They have given time limit for different crops. Before that, all extant varieties can be registered, provided they have not completed 15 years after they released or after notified. And single registration for hybrid along with parents, because this is to arrest a behavior. Suppose I am a breeder, I can register my hybrid first. Then after 15 years over, then I can register my parent one, and then I will extend another 15 years. So prolonging protection period can be possible if you do like that, single. So to avoid that kind of thing, unnecessary prolongation, this single registration in a stretch, you have to register hybrid as well as parents of that hybrid, then only they will take the application for in case of hybrid. You cannot do separate registration for a hybrid separately, parents separately. In case of hybrid, both hybrid and parents have to be registered together. And pricing of seeds of protected varieties, as of now what is happening is Ministry of Agriculture is receiving intent from different states for breeder seed, and Ministry of Agriculture is deciding that breeder seed should be sold at this price, that kind of provision is there. But PPVFRA issued a notification according to which, in case of protected varieties, it is mutual consent of the protected variety owner and who is going to take license for those varieties. They will decide price, not the government kind of thing. So in that case, two situations arise. One is pricing for protected varieties, and another is pricing for unprotected varieties. So what will be the situation? What will be the evaluating situation? We don't know. Then I am coming to next IPR, that is geographical indication. A geographical indication is a sign used on products that have specific geographic origin and possess qualities or reputation that are due to that origin. And this is geographic indication is given for agricultural goods also, manufactured goods also, food products and natural products. Suppose the Tirupati Laddu, Palani Panchabram, all these are also protected under GI. But our focus here is agriculture GI. Geographic indications are indications that identify good as originating in the territory of a country or from a region or locality within that territory where a given quality, reputation, or other characteristics of the good is essentially attributable to its geographic area. As I told, basmati rice is one example. So totally so far 504 GIs are registered in India, out of which 161 are agricultural GIs. And rice GIs is concerned, 24 registered and pending 15. But in case of GI, two steps are there. First is registration of GI, then registration of authorized users. But though 161 agricultural GIs are registered, only in case of 65 agricultural GIs authorized users are registered. Means effective utilization of GIs is not happening. They are called as sleeping GIs. There are recently a national IPR conference was held. There they were telling around 15,000 GIs potentially is there in India, but so far only 504 registered, out of which only 161 agriculture. Even that, within that also only in case of 65 agricultural GIs authorized users were registered. So unexploited potential is there. So GI impact and challenges. GIs cannot be delocalized and hence helps in sustainable use of resource. I already told it's basmati rice. So that can be grown in only in those 7 states. Then only it called basmati. So they have the incentives to preserve that use those resources in sustainable way, and it is collective GI. In case of PPVFRA, it can be for individual, it can be for a company, it can be for a farmers group kind of thing, but in GI it is collective IPR. And premium price, because GI serves as a signal for quality of a product. So when we say it is quality product, then there is higher chances of fetching premium price. And spillover effect of local development. So if a particular industry based on GI develops in a region, it will be having spillover effects in terms of creation of employment, those kind of things. And agri-tourism is also one. But the challenge emerging is climate change. So climate change may make present area which is suitable for one particular GI, it may become unsuitable in case of climate change. So how that area will shift, then how we are going to tackle this. Then the next is trademark. Trademark means a mark capable of being represented graphically and which is capable of distinguishing goods or services of one person from those of others, and may include shape of goods, their packaging, and combination of colors. And of course, new trademarks are also emerging, like the smell, those kind of things, or taste, smell, those kind of things also can be registered as trademarks. So under trademark, there are categories 1 to 45 classes, and I was focusing on seeds, so it falls under class 31. So I did a search using only the word seed, not any company name or those kind of thing. When I searched in trademark data using the word seed, this is the trend I got. Means total TM applications 2343 and registrations 1148, registration percentage 49, average is application 53, and registration 26. As I said, this is results only when I use the word seed, but you can try other combinations. You can try a crop name in a search word, or you can try a company name in search word. So it is not complete, so only for one word this is the trend we are getting. Then I compared in case of companies, how many PVP they are having. Suppose Advanta India Limited, it is having 8 PVP certification combining all crops. But if you see the trademarks, it is having 5. So Ankur Seeds, it's having 15 PVP certificate, but having 105 trademarks. So sometimes trademarks are being used more by companies than PVP. So, what is the this is a comparison of 3 IPRs. Under geographic indication, geography linked, as we know. Trademark is organization linked, and it is reputation building. Trademark means we know Godrej means Godrej products will be of this quality. So on the long run, they have built reputation. Those kind of things will be the trademark. But geographic linked means it is linked to specific geographic area. Trademark means it is linked to specific organization kind of thing. And PVP can be linked with any individual because it is variety related. And function is GI, it signals quality for consumers, and it addresses the issue of asymmetric information. Then a trademark means initially you will have some search cost for searching for a product, but once you got trust in a particular product, next time onwards you will be going searching, you will be going for that brand, you will not be searching for other brands for a particular product. That is, it is reducing search cost over the long run. And the PVP is intensifying plot breeders. The protection period is in geographical indication it 10 years and it can be renewed, and trademarks it is 10 years and it can be renewed, and in PVP it's a 15 years for field crops and 18 years for tree or plantation crops, and it cannot be renewable. Though, so a company may have a idea of protecting its variety. Once PVP registration is over, then it can think of protecting under trade name, but those kind of provisions are not there, ruled out. So there is three interface between these three IPR acts. Notwithstanding anything contained in Trademark Act, a denomination assigned to a variety shall not be registered as a trademark under the Act. It is stated in PPBFI. Means plant variety name cannot be registered as a trademark. I'll tell you example. Basmati is GI. Within Basmati, they have developed some 44 variety, 45 varieties. Some varieties are registered under PPBFRA. So GI is one thing, plant variety is one thing, and within Basmati, rice. They have separate several brands that trademarks. So a portfolio of IP on a same product, you can have PVP is plant variety name, Basmati is GI. Within Basmati, you have several varieties, that is PVP. And within Basmati, when you are selling as a rice, you have different brands. So a company can have alternative, or they can plan for portfolio of IPR management, not a single IPR. They can think of IPR portfolio management. Similarly, in Trademark Act also, they have some provision that a GI name, a name containing a geographic name cannot be registered as trademark. Means they realize, they foreseen these things, and in each act they have a provision. PPBFR Act says that a GI cannot be protected as uh, a plant variety name cannot be registered as trademark. Uh, So this was, as we know, IPRs are national phenomena, territorial phenomena. But if we want to protect our IPR at international level also, there are provisions. The OPAV is the per plant variety register, but India is not member in that. And for GIs, Lisbon Agreement is there. India is not not member in that. But for trademark, Madrid Protocol is there. There, India is the member. Means if we want to protect our trademark, uh, we can use this small mechanism, and we can register our trademark in other countries also. So now the debate is going on IPR and bilateral trade agreements, because in bilateral trade agreements, first of all, IPR is the topic of WIPO, but it was brought into WTO. Now, beside WTO, in bilateral trade agreements also, there is a force for having this IPR as a condition in that. So, whether one should go, and what will be the implications for this kind of bilateral trade agreements. And some people are arguing now for termination of TRIPS itself, because already so much period and over, and in COVID kind of time, because of that vaccine, they asked for waiver of trips conditions, and now people are speaking about enter termination of trips. But as incentive mechanism, IPR should be there. But what kind of mechanism should be there in India, that we have to decide according to our conditions. Somebody should not dictate us. That is the argument now. Every country have its own socio-economic condition, its development stage. Based on that, it will decide its own IPR mechanism. It should not. One somebody should not dictate us to have this. You must have this. You must have this. That is the what argument. Every country will have its own IPR mechanism. Why the need for strips? So, in this direction, some future research areas, licensing of plant varieties, how far it is effective, what are the licensing models prevailing, and how far it is scaled up the varietal transfer, that one can research. And competition in seed market. Actually, we saw the PVPR is that upstream research sector, then licensing market, then what is happening in downstream seed market, what is happening because of IPR. Competition means, okay, number of companies may increase, number of varieties may increase, but ultimately competition means what is the nature of pricing behavior prevailing in the market. Is there any market power kind of thing? That can be a research. And IGI impact on exports, it can be basmati, and is another commodity also. There were export before GI impact, GI registration. After GI registration, whether there is any impact in terms of export volume, export value, and unit price realized, that can be one research area. and measures needed for effective utilization of GIs. As I told, our Indian GIs are sleeping GIs, they call it, because only in some GIs that authorized user registration is there, but they are telling some 15,000 GIs can be registered in India. So large potential is there, but it's still underutilized. So these are some books I am suggesting that can be purchased by this department library for future reading, those kind of things. It's a very interesting books on IPR. So this is what I want to share. And if you have any questions or suggestions, I welcome. Yeah. Experience. The problems that federal states, especially in Tamil Nadu, the problems that they are doing, they would change the crop. Because traditionally they are doing. Because that kind of quality, it's can be registered as a provided they can prove that quality is because if that product is getting that quality only if it's growing in that region. That is true. Can be registered as GA. It's not only agriculture, madam. Even Tirupati Laddu is registered as GA. Palani Panchamritam is registered as GA. Miss, so many things, madam, that it will 161. Even in Tamil Nadu also, some rice GI applications are pending. That samba something, Jiraga samba something. Some for it is happening only if some person is taking initiative. In Kala Namak rice also, those who developed those varieties, they mobilized the people and they proved that this much area only this can be grown. It cannot be grown in other areas. So means our farmers are not that much aware about GI and even PVP. Also, Odisha is a topper in PVP registration as far as farmers varieties because their commissioner of agriculture he took initiative and he motivated farmers and he took so many varieties registration in PVFR. So somebody should lead, that is there. And once process initiated, there will be some effort needed in initial stage, proving that quality is related to that geographic area and limiting that geographical area. In case of Basmati, MP state is also fighting that they are also growing, but it is not materializing. So those kind of hiccups will be there in the initial stage. But and in Basmati case, one more thing is Pakistan is also having its own Basmati and India is having Basmati. That is a difficult case. So initial hiccups will be there, but in Kala Namak they are saying now they are starting export also. And in Kala Namak also, the traditional variety yield is low. So using traditional Kala Namak rice, now they are developed almost 2-3 varieties. In Basmati also, 43 to 45 varieties developed. And government regulation is there that this should be the quality of rice to call it as a Basmati. And initial traditional basmati parent should be there in the parentage of that variety. Then only it is called as basmati. But actually, one extension scientist recently published a paper. What is the actual gap is happening in between, and he published one paper. So it is taking more time means awareness should be there, then they have to go for registered. But in some cases it is organization registered, like coffee board, tea board, they are registered as authorized reviewers, then they will mobilize farmers. In case of basmati rice, apeda is the registered entity for GI, but they are having basmati farmers also. Ah, India, and having more applications are pending. So you wanted to prepare that also, but because of time limitation, I could not. I published one paper I will give to me, and in that I have given state-wise Panavi commodity registered job. And you can go into that website, there pending applications are premium price performance. Answering when lateral extent, they are mentioning it extensively. In lateral, for me, and GA logo will be there. Past 5 years, to study the impact of any GA. So in case of agriculture, GI, when you wanted to study the export components or trade aspects of any GI project, so it is suggested it should cross 5 years. So practically, 5 years will be enough for it's more than 5 years. What I have is impact on export means you will be having time series income. Yes, before GI registration also there may be export of that commodity. So after registration of GI, the export will be there. So 5 6 years, so no matter because we will be taking time series data, we will be using dummy variable or we will be using interrupted time series models, those kind of things. So there is no time limitation. So, in case of socioeconomic assessment, impact assessment, how should it be? How many years? No, socioeconomic assessment is maybe you will be going for cross-section with among farmers. That we can decide after 5 years, maybe we can. And in EPEDA website, if you open, and they are having some slides. What are the some GI registered products? In which case, export started now. Those kind of Alfonso mango is there. So many you can visit that PEDA website as well as this IPR GA website. In GA website, we have that data. So, state wise, commodity wise, you can get what are the registrations and what are pending applications. No, because I is telling that there are research areas of similar. Okay. So, most of the information you can do. You can you can also look at the chat those areas. Few areas we can look at. Yeah. And recently, I started a research project on carbon farming also. In that also, we can interact later also through email. Now, Indian G20 take carbon trading mechanism. What about the previous carbon trading and carbon tax? It all initiated now. Carbon trading. In carbon credit, there is two markets, voluntary market and compulsory mandatory. Now the regulation is for mandatory market. As far as this agriculture is concerned, it is not included in mandatory market. But earlier, regarding rice and I also started making just now. In car and rice, earlier they were telling rice was the source of methane emission, those kind of things. Now it can be used as a incentive mechanism because some industries are there which are carbon intensive and what we call offset market. They cannot abate their carbon reduction immediately. So they can purchase carbon credit in offset market. In that context, it is now people are arguing rice can be a carbon credit source rather than that. Please, that is polluter pay principle is there. You can tax the polluter, one thing. And another thing is you can incentivize him to reduce his emission. So carbon credit is the incentive mechanism. Carbon tax is polluter pay principle. So the situation is alarming now. And the World Bank, IMF, they are saying $80 should be the carbon price per ton. Then only we will reach that 1.5 that I think is climate change target. But our people now they are paying not even 1,000 rupees for one carbon credit. Companies are coming now. So what should be the appropriate price per carbon credit? In that context, we economists have to do research and arrive at some price, which can be the optimal price in Indian context.
So, good afternoon to all, my dear students and the staff members, those who are joining offline as well as online mode. So, good afternoon to one and all here. Then I would like to thank our university because this guest lecture concept it was introduced. It's a brainchild of our Madam Vice Chancellor because you have to utilize the expertise of different external examiners they are coming, so we have to utilize their expertise that will help our students to lead. for further research also. In that context only, when this guest lecture concept it was raised. So I would like to thank our university as well as the Madam Vice Chancellor for giving us to have this kind of guest lecture, as well as to the Dean SPGS, School of Postgraduate Studies, who is supporting a lot to conduct this, as well as they are also supporting both in monetary terms also. So for that, we are very thankful to our Dean SPGS to give us this opportunity to have this kind of guest lecture, as well as I would like to thank our head of the department and Director Cards for giving us this opportunity, because Madam Lakshmi Prasanna Madam. So during my PhD studies, I came to know her because it's a very depth. Because I wonder, because always I admired by looking at Madam how actually she is preparing that review, because I studied from her only, because for each and every aspect she took immediately she took hard copies of all the kind of research articles. Then in depth she is actually in depth she is analyzing that papers. Okay, that type of knowledge that she is having, because most of that Pragadation also they were they know about her potential. So it is a great opportunity to have the Madam Lakshmi Prasanna Madam. Just that you can also, she is also doing the research on carbon tax. Already she told. So if you want, that she can guide you, as well as that she can, if you want, you can discuss in your research area also. So thank you, Madam, for accepting. As an external examiner, as well as in delivering that so wonderful lecture, because I don't know about several things about IPR, but a little bit knowledge only that I'm having. So the people are working in IPR cell also we are having. So which gives eye opener for us to have for the research, a few kind of research that the students they can do, Madam. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation, Madam. Thank you.